Shamangelic Healing podcast is designed as a platform to share authentic conversations about real life issues, providing you with valuable resources and tools to support you in shining your most authentic self, creating a thriving life that you absolutely love, and to support you in manifesting your soul's mission. Welcome to the Shamangelic Healing podcast with your hostess, Anahata Ananda, your shamanic healer, soul guide, and certified high performance coach. Just to remind you that we are offering some free gifts for you with every episode, so always go to the landing page to check out our free gifts and offers from myself and also our guest today. And today I'm going to be offering a quantum visualization, a free guided visualization for you, and also $100 off my high performance, quantum leap online coaching program. So be sure to check that out. And another little reminder that I've opened enrollment for the exclusive one-on-one high performance coaching with me. So this is a deep intensive for people that really want to take their life in all areas to the next level. There is an application process because I only take a couple people per year. If that is you, if you're really committed and you want to go to the next level, you want me to coach you through dismantling everything that's in the way and rebuilding a life you're absolutely going to love, then fill out an application and the link is there in the bio and in the show notes. Today, my guest is Eva Maurice, who is a spiritual counselor and a phenomenal teacher and guide in the area of manifesting through self-love. And we had so much fun. There's so many pearls. Stay through the whole episode because there's so much here for you. Pillars, foundation, tips, and tools that are really going to help you with the foundations of manifesting anything that you want in life. So let's check out this episode. If you love it, like it, share it, and give us a great review. And this is how we help to get the word out. So thank you so much. You're going to love this. Welcome to the Shamangelic Healing podcast. I'm here with my dear sister, Eva Maurice, who we are going to dive into with all about how we can manifest through the foundations of self-love and whatever we want to manifest, that is really the foundation, whether it's relationships, abundance. And so hi, sweetie.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
So good.
I'm so happy to be sitting with you today.
Yeah.
Aww.
Always a pleasure.
You're such a love.
Yeah, yes. And so are you. We have such a deep connection. And I thought for somebody that I wanted to talk with about this, like no one's better because this is what you embody, this is what you teach, this is what your students learn, this is what we share, is this understanding of self-love and the foundation. So how, why is this even an issue? What's important about this? And so, because I know people want to manifest all kinds of things. And so why is self-love important? And like, how do we even do that?
Well, I think in our world today, and probably for several decades, if not forever, possibly, we always want to be manifesting. We're looking for that great relationship, for that big house, for the right car, for the great job. We're looking for travel. We want all these external things. But what most people don't understand is that we have to take care of ourselves from within because we must feel deserving of our desires in order to manifest them. So self-love is taking on a whole new energy for me personally, and I think for many others, that it's not just about pampering ourselves. It's about truly raising up our deservability so that we can then receive all the things that we desire.
You mean, so just vision boarding won't do it?
Probably not. But vision boarding's good. Yes. Vision board for sure. But you can put a Porsche on your vision board. But if inside you only feel worthy of a Honda, you're getting a Honda. No offense to the Hondas, but you know what I mean.
Right. And so it sounds like this is a journey of understanding not only like what self-love is this also understanding, respecting, validating, honoring, and embracing who we are and our worthiness.
Absolutely.
So it's really, self-love is encompassing all of that.
Oh yes, self-worth, self-respect, curiosity, compassion, empathy, all those things for self. Because of course, as you know, you can't give it to others until you give it to yourself.
Well, and I think that that's a big challenge with a lot of people. A lot of my clients are serving from an empty cup. You and I have both dealt with challenges of that, and are still working with how to making sure to prioritize self-care, because that is a matter of worthiness. That says, I'm worthy of taking a day off. I'm worthy of downtime, and I deserve that. I need that. And so a lot of times there is this pattern or this belief that I have to keep serving and doing, because we're also seeking that validation of being the provider or the giver. And if I stop doing that, I stop the validation.
Absolutely.
And this is this really delicate understanding of realizing, well, how good am I to serve from an empty cup?
Right.
And when we serve from an empty cup for too long, then we're going to have disease, then we're going to have, some bigger wake-up calls, depression, anxiety, addictions, because, kind of sedating that part of us that feels empty or exhausted. And so there's this overcompensating that happens. So let's talk a little bit about what gets in the way of that worthiness and self-love, and, what does that look like?
Well, I mean, I think it depends a little bit on our generation and how we were raised, but I know for myself and for many of my clients, we were raised to be selfless, to always begin everything by doing for someone else. I still catch myself doing it with my son. Do that for them first, and I'm like, wait a second, I got to rearrange that in my head. It's a natural instinct. I think our society expects us to do for others before we do for ourselves. And, there's the metaphor of put your own oxygen mask on first, fill your car up with gas before you go on a long trip. There's a million metaphors you could say, but the truth is, we are taught that we get external validation from doing for other people.
And that's what to be a good girl is, to be a good man is like take care of everybody else. And I think that there's this stigma that self-care or putting self first is selfish, or oh well, you're just too egocentric, and kind of, it seems like there's some unraveling of that program and that stigma.
I hope so.
It's taken me a long time, because I was raised to be the accommodator. Take care of everybody else, take care of everybody else. That's what you do. And then that also, when you're doing that from an empty cup, you get exhausted, and then there's resentment and blame.
And then you go into codependency and enabling and all that crap.
I'm wondering if anyone can relate.
Can anybody relate to that?
And it just was, I realized for me, it was this unprogramming of that and dismantling of that says, wait a second, if I value myself, then I had to reprogram self when people said, oh, you're being selfish by taking a day off or saying no or setting a clear boundary, that I'm like, oh, I'm being self-loving, thank you. And I had to reframe that, because that is what allowed me to take downtime or to set boundaries or to fill my cup back up. And I think one of the traps there is that there's guilt and shame for doing that. It says, well, if I say no and I'm not there for somebody, or if I don't show up in that way, what are they going to think? And I'm going to feel like a bad sister. I'm going to feel like
and where am I going to get the validation? If I don't get it from them, who is going to give it to me? But what people don't realize is that loving ourselves gives us internal validation. So I'm no longer leaning on you to give me my external validation. So true self-love is a gift for me and a gift for everyone in my life. Because then now I'm taking the responsibility of my happiness, of my love off of you, because I'm becoming accountable for that.
Well, which is so wonderful for the people in our life, because then we can release that big burden we've placed on their shoulders, that you have to make me happy, you have to love me, you have to rescue me when I'm in emotional despair, or you have to, be there for all of my finances, all of support. So it really is self-care, and
which turns into care for our whole tribe.
Absolutely.
Because
no one else really is responsible to love me. That might be my story. Well,
that's the bonus.
You're my mother, you're my father, you're my partner, you're supposed to love me, and that's quite a trap. That's quite a trap for both parties.
Absolutely. I have a saying that I'm the cake. I'm all the ingredients in the juiciest, most moist, amazing, sweet cake. I am everything I need as the cake. And if we get together in any capacity, as friends, as coworkers, as lovers, if we're together, you're my icing. And if that icing doesn't complement my cake, what's the point?
It's okay.
Right. But a lot of people walk around with like a half-beaten cake batter, and they're looking for the eggs. Where's the eggs? Where's the eggs? I got to find the eggs. I need the rest of you to make this cake.
Right.
I'm the cake.
So if we're talking about an understanding of that the other person is not here to complete me. That's my responsibility.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I think that's true empowerment is when we pull back all of those expectations and stories and the belief that I'm not whole until you complete me,
Right.
but that's my responsibility. And so we can be in that place where there's a gap between what I want and what I see myself as and where I'm at.
Yeah.
And that external validation is, well, I just need more money, or I just need a different weight on the scale, or I just need this partner, or I just need this many followers or
Right.
this much success to make that feeling of wholeness. And in all of the podcasts with all of my clients, and I have clients that are billionaires, I have clients that are supermodels, and clients that are what one would consider wealthy, successful, and miserable.
Absolutely.
Because they're not really getting that success or validation from a whole sense of self. So we're also talking about self-worth.
Absolutely. And it's not to say that, I'm the cake and everybody else in my life is the icing, so too bad for you all. I don't want any icing. Are you kidding?
No.
When you're the cake, the icing is so much sweeter.
Right.
So
Right,
it makes relationships, whether it's an intimate relationship, a family relationship, a friendship, your neighbor down the street, it makes them all so much better because you're not needing.
Right.
It makes it enjoyable, and you start to see the value in other people.
And
you
from
do
that place, you
beautifully.
can be discerning because you're not so needy of
course.
that you're like, I'll take anything.
Anything. Yes.
Oh, we have
boy.
been there, sister.
Yes, we have.
Oh yeah, because when in that place of lack of complete me and hunger, and I think also kind of when I have felt that hungry before, like just like when you haven't eaten for a while and you're
ravishing.
you're so hungry, you're like, the discernment goes out the window.
Absolutely.
You're like, eat anything.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, just leave the wrapper on. I don't care. I'm going to snarf that. I don't care. I don't
Yes.
want to look at the ingredients.
Yeah.
And so when I feel that has been the same case of when I'm feeling empty and hungry, then I'm less likely to be discerning about what I let in. And when I'm feeling that, I love this metaphor of the cake, when I'm feeling already fully whole, like, then I can decide whether or not this works and whether it fits. And I'm good either way.
Right.
I love and respect myself, so I'm not so hungry to allow in a relationship that isn't healthy or stay in a work dynamic that isn't respectful. Anything. So that's delicious because I feel like that is really where empowerment comes in and liberation from these patterns comes in.
Yes.
And so where self-love, self-worth, self-validation starts entering.
Absolutely.
And how does that link, now let's talk about how does that link to manifesting?
Right. So just because you have every ingredient in the cake, as we were saying, doesn't mean that you don't desire some icing.
Yeah.
Icing's really good, right? Even by itself,
honey,
it's so yummy. So, but the desires then become very meaningful. You don't just desire a Porsche and call it a day. Well, what is it about a Porsche? I just use that as an example, hoping that someday they'll send me one. But I just desire the freedom that a Porsche would bring, that adventure, that in my mind, that's what it would be, right? So as I start looking underneath the reasons why I want blank, a lover, a car, a house, a new job, a lot of money, whatever the case may be, I start realizing that I can align my emotional body, my mental body, my physical body, even my spiritual body, so filled with self-worth, self-respect, self-curiosity, self-compassion, that I can align in the same frequency as whatever it is that I desire. But desire and deservability, where the desire and the deservability meet, is what you'll manifest, no matter what. So, you can desire all kinds of things, but if your deservability isn't as high as your desire, you'll get whatever it is you deserve every time. And people get frustrated with that. Recently, we've been programmed to think if I say positive things and think positive things, it'll just happen. But we have to look inside and say, let me look around at my standards right now.
Right.
What are my standards of living? What are my standards of friendship? What is my standards in a relationship? Because this, in this moment, is what I feel deserving of.
Right.
And if I want more, I have to figure out a way to raise up my deservability so that I can get what I actually desire.
And the willingness to be radical, I love that,
Yeah.
first of all.
Yeah.
And the willingness to look at, what am I settling for and why?
Yeah.
Why? What is my story around this that I think that I'm not worthy of success or happiness, and witnessing where we can still think a Porsche will solve that wholeness. And so I also want to, I also invite that willingness to look at why. What is driving that? What is driving that? Is that because people will think I'm successful, then we're back to seeing it as validation,
right?
And so I think in that, what I'm looking to manifest is, why is that important to me, and what is driving that choice, so we can see if it's coming from an authentic place,
Exactly.
Versus just filling the hole and filling the gap, and trying to create wholeness. And because that's quite a journey, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
About, why am I desiring this? Is it because when I have this kind of a partner, I feel loved? And when I don't, well, then I don't feel loved.
Right.
And so going back to that deservability
Yes.
is super key. So how do we shift that if I don't feel like I'm worthy of this much abundance, or I don't feel like I'm worthy of this relationship or this success?
Right.
How do we shift that from a place of unworthiness to worthiness and that deservability?
Yeah, well, I think first, as you were saying, you have to set your desire. Then you have to ask, why do I want that? Because a lot of times when you start becoming focused and you're really in your soul center, you might realize you don't really want a Porsche.
Yeah.
What you really want is a peace of mind.
Right.
What you really want is to travel a little bit more, or whatever the case may be. But you get to the core of the true desire. And then you ask, why have I not received this yet?
Yeah.
Why haven't I written that book yet? Why don't I have that lover yet? Why haven't I moved to the beach yet? All those kind of questions start coming up. And as you start getting those answers, you'll really clearly see, let me tell you, where you're lacking self-worth. So that's where the foundation of self-love comes in. So that's the 4 pillars we were chatting about.
Okay.
Yes.
4 pillars.
Yes.
Okay. Pay attention, people.
You know, this has been taught since the beginning of time in many different ways. And so many of our modern day spiritual teachers and healers talk about this. And I'm a very linear, category kind of thinker.
Right,
so I'm like, I got to figure this out in a real simple way. So what I do and what I ask my clients to do are these 4 things every single day. And, they can take a full hour, and people freak out. Wait, I only have 24 of those. I have to sleep for 8 of them. I have to work for 8 of them. And now you want me to give a whole hour? I'm like, yes, I do want you to give a whole hour. Some days it's not going to be a whole hour, and other days it'll be 2. But you have to make a decision. There's so many books out there and so many talks out there about wherever you're spending your time is clearly showing us that that's what we want more of.
Right.
So you can't say, oh, I want more money, but not go to work.
Right.
You can't say, I want more love, but be miserable in your anger. And you can't say, I want to feel deserving and not spend time getting to know who you are. So self-love for me translates to also self-knowing. If you take a moment and think about the person you just really, really love with your whole heart, right? Or 2 of them in your case.
I just went to my kids.
I just saw them flash up on the
there
screen. But you think of that person that you love so much, and you don't question that love. You don't question it. You just love them. And then you ask, well, why do I love this person? And the answer, it's not about who do you admire or who do you look up to. Who do you love? You love the person you know the best. You love the person that you know all those little nitty-gritty details of, right? But who do we know the least? Often it's ourselves. Yeah. And if we really want to love ourselves, we have to be curious. So the 4 pillars. The first one is what everybody talks about, meditation.
Okay, so wait, one second.
Okay,
let me back up 1 second. Because I think what you're alluding to is that in shifting this self-worth or shifting where we're not feeling that validation or that respect, and shifting that to self-worth, self-acceptance, and authenticity is this commitment Okay, so I want to start with that because that's
right.
like underlying these pillars is this
Yes.
foundation of I need to make this commitment to really understand who I am and continue this process of self-inquiry and devote time to that experience of discovery and growing beyond those limitations of who I thought I was.
100%.
Or getting to know and dismantle those stories of what is keeping me or what is in the way of my deservability or my self-worth or my value. And so what I'm hearing primarily initially is this commitment, as you're saying, daily for an hour, or whatever that is just this commitment to be doing the self-work.
Yes, exactly.
So that it can evolve and we can dissolve or identify what's in the way of that, dissolve it, and give space for, and that is an act of self-love.
If you think about it, if we want to get in shape, for example, if we want to have, a six-pack, right? Then you go to the gym and you put the time in, because you're not going to get that six-pack or those great legs or that great butt if you don't go to the gym, right? That because it's a physical result and it's been proven. It's the same thing with self-love. If you want to have all of your desires manifest in front of you, you have to do the work, and the work is the self-love. Right. It's not hard. It becomes enjoyable. It becomes like brushing your teeth. You wouldn't leave the house without brushing your teeth. I wouldn't leave the house without meditating. It just becomes part of your daily ritual. And I don't want to scare everybody in thinking that, every day I'm going to have an hour of my life that's dedicated to this, because it's spaced out. You don't have to say, from 8 to 9 is my self-love hour. You can do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon. It can be spaced out, so it can work into anybody's schedule.
And so you're committing to your block timing.
Yes.
Even if it's just 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
Different types of activities that would happen within that personal time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now.
Okay, now.
Thank you, because there's something juicy about making the commitment.
I got a little excited.
Yeah, well, no, it's fabulous, because I think that underlying all of this is, hey, I matter, and my time and my attention is what's telling me that it matters. If I'm putting it on my calendar, just as I put on a doctor's appointment, or just as I put on, a client appointment or whatever, I put that on the calendar.
Yes.
Block timing, self-care, self-love, personal inquiry time is the first act.
Yes.
Okay, so 4 pillars that could happen during this time.
Absolutely. So number 1 is meditation. I mean, we could talk for hours about meditation, but we do that already, and your viewers know all about meditation. And I'm not tied to one form of meditation. Whatever works for you. Yeah. If you meditate well with guided visualizations, awesome. With breathing, awesome. With music, with transcendental, whatever turns you on, just do it. 15 minutes, Start with an app that takes you from 5 to 6 to 7 minutes and works your way up. But just do it. Just sit in that stillness. That meditation is for the mind. So
your intention with that 15 minutes is what? Your intention.
My personal.
With whatever people's process or how they get there. What is your intention? What are you wanting to experience?
My intention with my personal meditation is to quiet my mind so that I can listen to Source. That's how I use my meditation. When I pray, I'm telling Source some things and asking for a few things. But when I am quieting my mind, I am listening to the divine. I'm listening to Spirit.
So you're opening to become the chalice, the receiver.
Yes.
That says, I like to say, hey, help a sister out here.
Please,
help a sister out.
Yes.
Because, I have blind spots as a human. I have beliefs in here that are lying to me. My ego's trying to get me to do this thing for the wrong reason. And so I think in that 15 minutes of stillness, it's like, show me the truth, give me some advice, guide me in some way, give me some inspiration.
Just let it flow.
Yeah.
So sometimes I ask a question and then I just be quiet for 15 minutes. Yeah. Sometimes I listen to a guided visualization and I'm in the visualization, but all of a sudden I'm getting something coming through me that's something else. And sometimes I sit for 15 minutes and think, well, that was a waste of time. Because
just
I'm human.
Yeah, but just to quiet the mind isn't a waste of just to
No,
sit.
of course not.
Right? But that's the perception. I think that's the judgment of, well, I sat there
Yes.
and nothing happened.
Right.
And so that was a waste of 15 minutes.
And so many people think that they have to levitate or have to have some kind of aha moment every time they meditate. And
because I do, I levitate.
Of course you do.
But
she
others
actually really does. I'm just gonna say. No, but it's important to not have crazy high expectations.
Right.
As you're getting into meditation, some people have that burst of, oh my God, right at first, and then a long lull, and then every once in a while something else will happen. But it's in the daily ritual of not leaving the house until you have those 15 minutes.
You know, I think this is so vital. One of my meditation teachers would talk about, you're flexing this muscle.
Yes.
And so even if in a day you don't think your meditation was very productive, it's in the consistency that is flexing that muscle.
That's
and
right.
then when we're not using those channels of awareness and those channels of stillness, it's kind of like a pipe that gets clogged over time. This is
right.
one of my teachers would talk about it this way, or a muscle atrophying that we don't use very often, and it gets rusty, and then we go to sit and we don't connect, we don't feel anything, we don't hear anything, we don't receive anything, and then feel like, I guess I'm a bad meditator. And it's really just consistency and presence, and we're just kind of eroding,
Good word.
you know, we're just kind of eroding the calcifications literally that are actually in our pineal and our pituitary glands, which are those energy centers in the body connected to the 6th and 7th chakras that awaken higher consciousness, that just sitting in stillness, or breathing and calming the central nervous system allows the vrittis or the waves of the mind to just calm, or the calcifications that are in those places to dissolve a bit, so that place is connected to spirit, divine creator, source, higher self, divine intelligence, whatever you want to call that. It's different for everybody. That we just start to open that a little bit more, and that the Buddha's kind of crown on the top of his head, his little fun bun up there, is that indication of enlightenment, that it's so open and connected to source that then when we get out of meditation, it kind of stays connected. And so I want to encourage people that are listening or watching that says, oh, I tried meditation and it sucked. Oh, I wasn't good at it. Or I used to do it and I didn't really see any benefits. Is to stay with it and to try different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to just see what happens of 40 days of just being in stillness, and see, if that begins to dissolve or open, or there's some epiphanies. And like inspiration, that term, inspiration, is to bring spirit in.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And so that gives us the opportunity to say, okay, help a sister out, help a brother out, let's bring in some inspiration.
And when you get into that practice and that muscle starts to get strong, and you start having that crown open on a more regular basis, you can spot a meditator a mile away, because they listen. They want to hear what you have to say, because they know how to be still and they know how to receive. I mean, I love finding out, oh yeah, you're a meditator, awesome. Like, that they're going to ask you questions, they're going to be present with you. You can feel that energy. And there's no nervousness about a moment of silence, because that muscle is so well built in us.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that ability to filter out what is unconscious, what is program, what is belief in the process of witnessing or experiencing or holding space for somebody, and acknowledging that this is this whole journey of awakening in consciousness, that I can be present and filtering out all the stuff that's not you, and being present with the part of you that is timeless, that is part of you, that is always true, even if even if in that moment anger is speaking, or the inner child is speaking, or any of that.
That really makes me want to say one little piece here, because it's such a perfect fit. So what I talk about a lot with my clients, and all the time, I'm sure people are tired of hearing me talk about it, but we all live in the microcosm of our ego. We're all leaning in. We were talking about that earlier, right? We lean in and look at this little tiny world that we create, and that's where we get triggered and we get upset and we're, resentful, and all the negativity is packed into this egoic world. But also, so is all the external validation that we're craving. And when something feels good, but it feels good in an egoic way, we pack it in there too. And I mean, that's the illusion that we're all living. We've all agreed agreed to live this illusion of ego. If you lean back and open up your arms into your divinity, all of a sudden you're seeing your peripheral vision. You're seeing what I call like source view, like from the, from the bird's eye view. You get to see the big picture and you realize, this is just my little microcosm of my ego. Look at all this stuff that's going on. I'm just a grain of sand, no problem. But to live back here all the time is pretty impossible because we're human and we have egos. And I don't care who you are, you still got an ego if you're in human form, right? So somewhere between the microcosm of the ego and the expansion of the divinity is the observer. And that's the observer is what we tap into when we meditate. So when you meditate from that observer space, you get really clear about recognizing when I'm leaning forward into ego and when I'm capable of leaning back into my divinity.
And when somebody else is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because when that witnesser does that, you're less reactive. You're like, oh, their fear is speaking, their inner child is speaking. And what you're talking about, that bigger perspective is also, that third eye awakening.
Yes.
That we're seeing things through a bigger perspective, that ajna, the sixth chakra of like, this is a bigger perspective here.
Yes.
And if we're witnessing, I was just seeking validation there, and we go back into that place of self-worth and validation, then we can be like, okay, well, I don't really need them to agree with me right now. I don't really need them to make the same choice as me. And I don't really have to react or close my heart because we're not on the same page right now. It's okay for us to be in different places. It's okay for us to have different opinions. And it helps us process, conflict in the moment more consciously.
Yes.
So.
And that sixth chakra, your third eye ajna, that is not just how we see out, it's how we see in.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, so that's a beautiful correlation. Thank you for that.
Yay!
Yay!
Pillar one.
Pillar one, meditation.
Meditation. Get on it, people.
Meditation is, so ultimately meditation is for your spiritual body. That's the ultimate goal. It's for the spiritual body.
Well, and I think that there's also, of course, benefits to the physical body and nervous system.
Of course.
But it is that,
all the way.
That pillar that feeds and nourishes that part of us.
And if you're only going to do one pillar, do meditation.
Okay.
That's the one to do.
If
you can only do one, if you want to start slow and add one as you go, meditation is the place to start. So then let's go to the other extreme, our physical body. So, I have a girlfriend that calls this her rent-a-car. So this is just, this is a rent-a-ride. So this is what you get this time around. But it's what you get this time around.
You don't get to trade it in.
You don't get to trade it in. Oh, look, I'm at 15,000 miles. Take it back. Give me a new one. We don't get to do that. So we do need to take care of it. And also, our cells are imprinted with everything that's ever happened to us. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So the more we move our body, the more our cells have the opportunity to regenerate and to release any imprints of negativity. Right. I mean, it's hard to change the mind and change the heart, but just stand still the whole time.
Right, because really the dense body is what holds it.
Absolutely.
In the material form, our thoughts, our traumas are actually held at the cellular level, so we actually have to move them out from the cellular level.
Exactly. Now, if I had, my way, I would be able to renew my cells while I'm, watching, Sex and the City and eating bonbons, okay? But apparently that doesn't work because I tried it for a long time and it did not work.
Way to be diligent with it.
I was very diligent with it and it didn't work. So, whether that's yoga for you or walking, I love to walk. I've been walking 2 miles since my big birthday that just happened every day, and I feel amazing. I'm like, why didn't I start doing this 10 years ago? Right. It's such a change, and then your body begins to crave that movement, and when you don't move, you really feel it.
Because it's oxygen, it's blood flow, it's prana, it's life, because cells are dying when they're not getting all of those things.
Yes.
They're atrophying, they're not able to do what they came here to do. So movement, yoga, like
stretching,
just circulation into those places. So for you, one of the pillars is movement.
Yes,
and
move,
shake it.
You can move in your kitchen, dance in your kitchen to your favorite songs for 15 minutes. And you don't have to do 3 hours. But the movement isn't accumulative. So on Monday, if you go to 3 aerobic classes, it doesn't count for the whole week. Okay?
Come on.
No, I'm sorry. I've had clients ask me that. But it's an actual ritual every day to move the body for 15 minutes or longer. But just get things moving for at least 15 minutes.
Right.
That's for the physical body.
That improves metabolism. It actually improves mental clarity. It improves psychology and emotional body. All kinds of things are definitely.
It's all connected, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So, and that also detoxifies the body and helps with cellular rejuvenation.
Yeah. And you feel better. You feel good. You feel better in your clothes. You feel better, leaving the house. You feel better when you move. It's not about chiseling your body into some way you want it to look. It's about the internal beauty that starts coming out when you move your body.
Well, and I think as we link this to manifestation,
Yes.
it is one of the ways that actually gives us more energy and stamina
Yes.
to go after our dreams
Yes.
and the joys of life, to be able to have that energy, mental clarity, passion, to manifest that.
Absolutely.
I need energy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Say.
pillar number 2.
Move your body. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
meditation, movement.
Yes.
Got it.
So number 3 is for our actual busyness in our mind, and that's journaling. So whether you do morning pages or you do a nighttime journaling, whatever your journaling looks like, there's no audience. There's no editing. There's no judgment in your journaling. You're literally taking whatever the craziness that's going on in your head, and sometimes, wow, let me tell you what, it is crazy up there. And you just put it down on the paper. It's a way of purging. It's a way of releasing. And as you get all this, gobble out of your head, you're able to open up and receive so much more. If you're constantly, thinking negative thoughts, and you start writing them out and writing them out and writing them out, you'll see, oh my God, this is what I'm thinking all day long. How is this affecting me in the world? So journaling, and I have a lot of clients and myself that, I buy my nice journal and I only want to put happy things in my journal and I want it to look really pretty. My journals are like 50-cent notebooks and they are like, ripped apart, and it's just, sometimes I'm just scribbling on the page because that is where I purge,
And that's also where dreams are, also
That
come to.
too.
So, one of the most, one of my like dark nights
Yes.
of the soul.
Yes.
I hadn't been doing any journaling or any of that kind of thing before. And when, during my big transition, during my marital liberation,
Yes.
is what I call
Yes.
it.
Yes.
The journaling, I was like, look, writing on paper wasn't how I process things. And I brought, for me personally, my personal authentic way of doing is like getting colored pencils or whatever, and not having aligned, and just sometimes, like when I was in those angry places, it was like, give me that black.
Yes.
It was just, I let out anger, and I got to write words and actually draw. Not that I'm like great drawer or anything, but just what I was expressing.
Yes.
And it was just kind of these big black lines.
Yeah.
And I just let it scribble on the
That's great.
page. And I was like,
Yeah.
and then it was like, okay, next page.
Exactly. There's something so amazing about turning that page.
Next page.
Yes.
And then, maybe it's the same date, just 1 minute later, or 15 minutes later, or
Totally
an hour
different.
later, or 6 days later, or whatever. It's just like, next page. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm very clear about what I don't want. And I go,
Yes.
and then go into, and then what is my yes?
What are the
and
possibilities?
So, I let my journal be an emotional diary, in essence, of colorful shape expression. And
Absolutely.
I put words or drawings of, like, the next page was like this colorful butterfly.
Yes.
And I got to draw and write all of those things that really were meaningful to me. And it was a roadmap to what I was becoming, and not necessarily where I was.
Right.
And so it wasn't just a place for me to purge, it was also a place for me to dream.
100%.
Yes.
So you begin just allowing your journal to take you on the journey.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a place to put it all. And I'll tell you, I've been journaling since I was like in 4th grade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just pulled out my first journal, and I was very...
I have a crush on Joey.
I had a crush on Sean Cassidy.
Okay,
so,
well, you're not alone, honey. You're not alone.
But it's so great to go back and look at old journals. And not that long ago, if I'm being really honest, not that long ago, I looked at a journal from a previous relationship, right? And I started reading through it, and I was like, oh, same thing happening. And I would have never thought that I was doing the same thing in these different relationships unless I had recorded it
And
in
realized,
that journal.
Oh,
We write
repeat pattern.
We're writing the manual on how to be us.
Right.
Nobody else can write the manual on how to be
Or
Eva.
rewrite it.
Or rewrite it 1,000,000 sometimes.
I love that.
That's really, to be able to go back and read that and go, oh my God, changed so much of my perspective.
Right.
So journaling isn't just for in the moment purging or dreaming. It's to go back and go, holy cow.
Cycles.
Yes.
Or wait, and I love that, sometimes I had written down an intention, and then I go back and I was like, wow, look how clear that intention was, and look at what I manifested.
Right.
Or look at this pattern, I love that, look at this pattern repeating, because I clearly have not learned the lesson, because here it is again.
Yes.
Almost the same languaging, 2 years later, bigger black crayon now.
Yeah, totally.
And so what I'm hearing is that the journal is about the journey and the process, to understand cycles, to purge, and also to dream and write intentions.
And I personally like to journal right after I meditate. So I put those two together in the morning. I do my meditation, and I just, with my eyes still closed, I keep my journal right next to me. I just reach and start writing, because there's something about writing right after meditation that I just feel really clear. And I can channel in new information that maybe I haven't heard before, and I don't want to miss it. So I really like to journal right after meditation. But whenever you journal, I mean, anytime, better than nothing.
Yeah, to me, it's just when I put it down and then I date it. There's something really powerful. And when I work with my clients on, when we do a deep guided visualization where they're seeing their future self, or they're healing a thing, or dissolving a thing, or moving out of this cancer, or moving out of this unhealthy relationship, or this, like the shackles, and envision those falling off. And who am I when I'm not this? Who am I without this story? Who am I without these feelings? And this whole guided visualization of dissolving all of that and seeing, feeling, knowing, and reclaiming our fullest potential. And what does that person look like? What words describe them? What is around them? And when you draw that, when you write that, and you anchor that, and you date that, it's really
so
feeding a
powerful.
seed. It's germinating a seed of potential, and this is part of manifestation. Is that very thing. So I love this journaling pillar, because it's one I use for myself and for my clients. And I like I say, I can tend to draw more, because then I can look at the visualization and get it all, and I don't have to go back into linear words. So for me, that really
works
helps
for you.
But I mean, I certainly put words on the page.
Of course,
and sometimes it is and sometimes it's just a poem, or a dream, or like, hey,
a list.
It actually helps create the bucket list too.
Yes.
Of like, wow, I'd really like to have this experience.
A lot of my journaling is lists. I like lists. It's just part of that linear thinking I was talking about. So I love making lists. It doesn't matter how you journal, just journal. You'll be so glad you did.
Right.
When after you do a month of journaling and you look back at actual 30 days of you writing, there's a sense of like, oh, I'm really living my life, and I'm documenting it.
So one of the things is I combined your 1 and 3 combo.
Yes.
And with that, I did like 40 days of meditation with a particular guide. And would open and ask and receive, a message each day. And so I would be in that receptive place that you said of, pillar number 1 of in that meditation place of asking, allowing, and being receptive. And I remember doing that with one particular ascended master, and each day I would get like a different word. And with that process, one time it was like integrity came in. And I was like, whoo, integrity lights me up. I'm on fire about that word. I have all kinds of things. And so the exercise was write about integrity. And my journal lit up like, this is in integrity and that is out of integrity. And I do, page after page after page. This is good, this is bad, in essence, all of this. Next day, same guide. What's my word? Integrity. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you must have made a mistake. I got that yesterday. And he's all, integrity. 9 days straight,
Oh
Eva,
my God.
of the same word, which
Wow.
I know that is not my imagination, because I wouldn't do that to myself. My ego would be like, oh, you got that word, move on to the next word. And so I knew some higher power was getting me to look at this word and dive deeper into it. I'm like, well, there's nothing else to say. I wrote it all yesterday. Go deeper. And so this is one of the things that journaling gives us that opportunity is to say, go deeper. What's under the first initial purge? What is under that dream? What is under those words? What's deeper? And I think that that whole process of, your two pillars together working back and forth 9 days in a row, and it wasn't until the 9th day, okay, I get it now. I understood that integrity, imposing my version of integrity on everybody else, was in fact out of integrity.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but you got there.
It was totally, humbling.
Yes.
And like something I would have never created for myself.
Right.
I would have never, if I didn't sit still, if I didn't journal, if I didn't do the exercise, if I didn't do that commitment of saying 40 days of just being with this guy and really deeply discovering wanting to learn, wanting to dissolve some falseness, wanting to really discover some truth and awaken more to what's real. And that's where the combination of those two that you just mentioned was a game changer for me, because it totally awoke my solar, awoken my solar plexus to be like, wow, being in integrity to me is learning how to keep my version of integrity within my own
for
space.
Yourself.
To not, it just,
you can still discern.
Discernment is different. It sits in the solar plexus,
right.
but this was witnessing how there was a lot of judgment because I was externalizing and projecting integrity. And had I not sat still and been curious, had I not given time to journaling, I wouldn't have ever gotten that pearl.
And curiosity is such a great word. We have to be curious, because that's when we ask questions to other people, when we're becoming friends with somebody or going into a relationship with somebody, it's all about questions.
Yeah.
Well, where'd you grow up? What'd you do? How many kids? You're asking questions because you're curious, but we just don't get to do that with ourselves very often. That's where the journaling can really help us deepen and expand our knowledge of ourselves. Because again, when you think of that person you really love, you love them because you know them. And honestly, besides meditation and really deep journaling, those are the two easiest things you can do for free to get to know yourself.
To get to know yourself.
To get to know yourself.
Okay. Pillar number 3 is down, journaling.
Yes, journaling.
4, give it to us, baby.
4 is gratitude. And we all know so much about gratitude. I mean, thanks to Oprah and the Gratitude Journal so many years ago. God knows I did that for a long, long time. So gratitude, the way that I teach it, comes in 3 parts. So let's say that you come down to visit me and you bring lunch. My first instinct is to be grateful for this beautiful lunch that you brought. And you know that I love sushi. I love that you know I love sushi, and this lunch is so beautiful. I'm grateful for the food. That's 1, the thing. 2 is I'm grateful for you, because you brought this to me. You knew me well enough. You knew me well enough to get my favorite food. I am grateful for you. And then the 3rd thing, which we all forget, I'm grateful to myself, because I created this relationship. I was vulnerable enough to let this sweet sister in so that she could know me well enough to bring me the sushi and to come to my house in the first place. So that 3 steps, I'm grateful for the thing, whatever it is. I'm grateful for the person that creates the thing. And I'm grateful for myself to allow the receiving of this relationship.
Okay, here's the test.
I'm ready.
What happens when it's something you don't want? How do you practice gratitude of like, hey, thanks for giving me this rejection. Thank you for giving me this hurt. Thank you for giving me this dagger in the back. How do we practice this pillar of self-love, self-respect, and awareness and consciousness when something or someone is coming into our life and we're not initially grateful for it?
Right. Well, I don't personally believe, and I'm not preaching this, I don't personally believe that we have to be crazy grateful for every single thing that happens in our lives. Sometimes we can say that doesn't feel in alignment and let it go. Grateful for the discernment. Right. Grateful for the opportunity to say, well, that door is now shut, which helps me see clearer the doors that are open. So, and you know, as Abraham would say, it just gives me a new challenge to create around.
Right.
I can now create around this challenge. Or I can just shut the door and go towards the open door. I can finally let go of the paddles or the oars and just float down the stream.
Because I think there's something valuable about really being grateful even for the challenges. Oh, thanks for giving me the grateful for showing this to me, grateful for the opportunity to practice this thing, because it's easy to practice with my loved ones and my bestie. It's easy to practice with somebody that I love, and it gives me the opportunity to practice gratitude. You know, wow, like really, I mean, I think that that's where gratitude really gets stretched, and self-love and agape love and unconditional love really gets stretched, is to understand, well, I'm grateful for that challenge. I'm grateful for that experience because I got to learn this. I got to learn I want to be more discerning about this. I got to clarify what I don't want.
I now know how I don't want to be. I don't want to be with that person. I don't want to eat that food. I don't want to, it narrows your path, and you get more crystal clear about where you want to go.
Well, and I think so that in that, we can actually practice this pillar in any situation.
In any situation.
Doesn't mean it won't stretch us.
Right.
So if we put your 3 in place, okay, so I can be grateful for the thing, which might be
a situation.
A situation.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be something physical.
Okay, so I'm grateful for the situation because, you know, I got to see a thing. I got to see what I don't want, or I get to see my shadow, or I get to see my attachment. So we can be grateful for that thing. We can be grateful for that person, because I would not have this experience unless they came in and created this dynamic that I can't do when I'm in a vacuum in a cave. So I actually needed a person.
And that person, you know, like in Neil Donald Walsh's book, Little Soul in the Sun, right? So that person had to slow down their physical vibration so much, to be so dense, to cause that pain in our life. That's a big sacrifice. And we've done it for other people. We've probably have done it for each other. I don't know. But I mean, that is a big sacrifice, to thank the person that even
played the villain
in your life, because who knows, it could happen one time, or you could just keep coming back for more.
And because I think that's where being grateful in those situations really stretches this pillar and opens the heart. So it's like, instead of, I'm just grateful for the people that love me and treat me like a queen, it's also, wow, I'm grateful for the people that judge, that criticize, that leave me, that give me the opportunity to practice compassion, forgiveness, discernment.
If you truly practice those things. Because, you know, there's a spiritual bypass in here where you can go, I'm so grateful that you don't like me, or that you unfriended me, or whatever, but you're not really. So if you're going to really practice this, you know, it means if something's not good, remove yourself from the situation.
For sure, that's self-preservation. That's part of self-love and self-respect.
And be grateful for that knowledge that you needed to remove yourself from the situation. So it's tricky in our semantics, but we have to be sure that if we're going to give gratitude to somebody that did us wrong, that we're still taking care of discernment and moving forward.
And learning to set a clear boundary. For sure. It's not like, that was okay,
Yay,
bye.
I'm
It's
so
like,
grateful for you.
what did I learn? What do I, and I think that's where your pillar number 1 about meditation gives me the opportunity to say in this gratitude, because I have to kind of get out of that space of being the victim and being angry, to come to the place of saying, what is the blessing? What is the gift? What is the pearl? And how could I bless that person in that situation for bringing it to my attention? So that I can be more clear, more discerning, more healthy, more self-loving, and appreciate and being grateful for how valuable that is. Because our besties are not going to show that to us. That we got to claim that, and a lot of times it's in friction, or in pain, or in suffering.
That's where we get polished.
That we get polished, and that's a great term, and we get to understand, this thing, or this pattern, or this limiting belief is actually, or me accommodating everybody else at the expense of self, is actually keeping me from being in a healthy relationship. Fantastic.
And the bonus pillar is do it all outside.
Do it all outside.
That's the bonus pillar, If you could do any of those things or all of those things,
meditate, move,
journal, and gratitude.
And gratitude outside.
As much as you can get outside. If you live in the city, walk to the park. If you are so fortunate to live somewhere like Sedona, just go on your porch. It doesn't matter. But be outside. Be in connection. Source is living on Mother Earth. So to be in connection, to put your feet in the soil, to breathe the air, to be against a tree or a mountain, just as much as you can. That's the bonus pillar. Because
I think that's, I believe that, for me, that's my church.
I know.
It's like the Church of Elemental Unification.
Yes.
I just call it that, like Mother St. Guy's Church of Elemental Unification, which is really just where the elements are. And it provides a certain level of balance. and presence and recentering, so we can be inspired by a mountain or a tree or a flower, or let a bird sing to us, or the sun kiss us, and we get to be in love with everything that is.
And it reminds us to get out of the egoic microcosm and to open up into our divinity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay!
Fantastic. Any other little pearls you want to share before we wrap things up?
Well, I want to say that, what I have realized over my time, not just as a spiritual counselor and teacher, but in my whole life, is that self-love is truly the foundation of any evolution I want to make. So if I want to evolve in a relationship, in a friendship, in my career, in my finances, in my health, in my creativity, in anything, if I want to evolve, expand, and elevate, it has to have that bottom, the foundation when you build a house.
Yeah.
The foundation of all evolution is true and honest self-love. So you can feel deserving, so you can reach your desires.
Right.
That's how we manifest. And I think that deservability is a big piece that's missing in manifestation right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the foundation of self-love and self-care that says, well, then I can be a better parent, or I can be a better partner, and I'm not so empty that I'm trying to control and manipulate everything else to meet me, fill me, validate me, see me. Fantastic, because that's quite a vortex of trying to get the world to fill our void.
Well, then we get so disappointed,
Right?
Because people aren't doing what we want them to do.
Right, and they'll keep doing that.
Exactly.
Because that's not their job.
No.
And so we get to celebrate and be grateful for those people that are showing us that, that are backing up, in essence, of saying, look, I can't build your foundation for you.
That's right.
And
once your foundation is built and you're that yummy cake, then you can have some yummy
it's
icing.
all good,
yeah.
right?
Yes, it is so good. So good. And you're going to fall in and out of it day to day and moment by moment. But I'll tell you, when you start doing these rituals on a regular basis, you just feel so expanded. And, you have a feeling of invincibility.
Right. And I consider that to be the Amrita. Yes. Like the divine nectar.
That's right.
When the heart is open, when the third eye is open and the crown is connected, and we're actually in our physical body with all of this joy and bliss and consciousness, the yogis would call that Amrita, the divine nectar.
Yes.
They're like, that's what we're seeking anyway, and it's not going to be found in this material thing or that material. That's all extra bonuses, but it's that self-love, claiming, and just being in the deliciousness of,
and enjoying being human.
Enjoy being human. It's hilarious. This is a comedy. This is a comedy, and it's delicious, and it's fun, especially if we're coming with gratitude for, oh, gee, thanks for showing me that.
Yeah.
Well, honestly.
Yes.
And when we trip and fall, oh, good. Thanks for reminding me that I could pay attention to where I'm walking in life.
Absolutely.
And that I kind of forgot that thing, or I needed a reminder, or I got off track with that.
I just think, a lot of times we get caught up in trying to be really spiritual, and we forget how amazing it is, this gift that we get to be human.
Right.
And just enjoy it.
Right? That's being the spiritual, having a human experience, the spiritual body. In other words, this spiritual, expanded soul essence in this funny little, suit of skin that has shapes and bones and organs and thoughts and a tender heart, and so does everybody else, and just the deliciousness of that. I adore you, beautiful sister. You have shared so many wonderful pearls.
Thank you, honey.
Tell everybody where they can meet you and what you have for us today.
Well, you can find me at my website is Eva Maurice, EVAMAURICE.com. And I have a free gift for everybody.
Ooh.
Yes, I want to give everyone a free gift of a self-love meditation that I have recorded that will reflect just what we spoke about today. So when you go to the link in the bio down below, you'll be able to get that gift. And then you'll also get a special deal on my 40 Days of Self-Love program as well.
Oh, which is fabulous, fabulous. Your free gift is amazing. You're definitely, all of you are going to want to get on that for sure.
It's a really sweet meditation.
Yeah. Yes.
15 minutes.
That's a great way. That's a great place to start.
Yes.
For people.
Yes.
And you're right here, here in Arizona.
Yes.
So people can also find you and work with you online as well.
Yes, I work with people a lot on the phone. I have clients all over the world.
Oh, good.
But I do also see in-person clients too.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, honey.
Yes.
You're just amazing.
Oh,
I love you so much.
Thank you. Likewise. It's mutual.
Thanks.
So you can find me here in Sedona and at shamangelichealing.com. And this is my passion and mission, to really help people turn their life around, create a thriving life they absolutely love. And so thank you so much for sharing these podcasts with other people. Like it, comment, give us a great review. And also, if you'd really like to work in person, then come here to Sedona. Would love to dive deep into whatever healing and awakening journey that would be the most nourishing for you. And a reminder that the coaching is opened up now, so definitely check that out if you want to submit an application to work with me one-on-one for a full year. I only take a couple per year, so all of those links are available in the podcast landing page, and we are so grateful. If you're still listening, that's because you have found this to be deeply nourishing for your soul. You're my people. You're our people. And so I want to acknowledge that you are investing in yourself, that you care enough to take the time out to really seek out the tools and resources to help you embody and become your fullest, most radiant self, getting off the bench in life and getting into the game where the joy and the Amrita and the bliss lives. So thank you so much. And excited. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you, honey.
You are a dear sister and a beautiful soul. Your work is amazing, and I'm so
you.
grateful that you've, putting it out into the world. And your book coming out. I know that it's not out yet, but
It's happening.
I'm so excited about that.
Yes.
So
Thank
be
you.
sure to share that with our
I
audience
will.
when
Thank
it
you
does.
so much, honey. So much love.
So thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Shamangelic Healing Podcast. May you go forth and really love and awakening your self-love so that you can manifest your dreams into reality. Blessings and namaste. The Shamangelic Healing Podcast is designed as a platform to share authentic conversations about real life issues, providing